Hello, I'm Karen Stam, Director of the Center for Workforce Studies at the American Psychological Association. This is How Did You Get That Job, our on-demand series where we look at job sectors experiencing growth and high demand. Through chats and presentations, we'll learn more about these exciting fields and talk with people who work in them. Today, we're focusing on jobs in the United States for non-citizen psychologists. APA currently has over 11,000 international members. Many of these members attend APA's job fairs, annual convention, webinars, and other programs, and have reached out to us expressing interest in working in the United States. We hope this series can provide some insights on how to explore career journeys in the United States. Our guest today is Andrea Almeida Schulte. She is an associate psychotherapist and counselor in private practice. She's also finishing up her internship here at Wayne State University in Michigan. And she recently defended her dissertation en route to a doctorate of psychology, or PsyD, at the Michigan School of Psychology. Congratulations, it's an important milestone. Andrea hails from Brazil, and she holds a Master of Science from PUC University, or the Pontifical Catholic University of Campinas, and a Bachelor of Science in Psychology from Universidade Paulista. Welcome, Andrea. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate the time here too. Thank you.
So first off, you're an associate psychotherapist and counselor in private practice. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. So in private practice, because I am still an associate, it's a very similar day-to-day activity. So I go in, I see my clients, adults, young adults in couples. I have my supervision, I do my documentation. Sometimes we do some consultation, but it's basically that what I do on a day-to-day. On the other hand, that the internship is a little bit more different because we do more stuff. So I do crisis intervention, urgent intervention, group therapy, consultation. And so it's a more different day-to-day activity. So those are the two main things that I do.
Right. What kinds of skills, knowledge, and abilities do you find you use on a day-to-day basis in your job? And which of these skills would be necessary for you to be successful in what you do?
Okay. So there are a few different things that we need in the psychology field. In my opinion, for me, it works best. I learned a lot about interpersonal skills, communication, especially because it's a different language, right? So writing and reading and speaking in overall communication is very important. But I also think critical thinking and problem solving is very important in both settings that I work, practice and in the counseling center. But if I have to guess, interpersonal skill is the most important one in our field.
Right. That comes up pretty frequently in some of the research that I do on the profession and the workforce in psychology, that is consistently one of the top rated skills. So it's encouraging to hear you say that it's an important skill in what you do.
Right. It matches the profession, right?
Yes, exactly. Which of these skills, knowledge, and abilities did you develop or learn in your psychology training overseas?
That's a very interesting question. I see the difference from the education system and from the path that I was before. During my master, I was more in a research realm. So what I think I brought really like with very big consistency was research. So when I arrived here, I noticed the difference between my colleagues, that for me, for example, doing the dissertation was very easy, came very easy, literature review, data analysis, and things like that. So I want to say that research was the main thing that I brought over here.
Right. How did your training help prepare you for what you do now?
Well, in so many ways. First and foremost, the general knowledge of psychology, right? From the basics into the deepening of understanding, ethics, deepening, at the beginning with the master degree, you have like a little bit of insight on ethics, but then when you go to the doctorate, it's another level. So ethics is a big one too. And I want to say too, that the integration of all the knowledges that you have, theories, basics, ethics, this integration prepared me to go to the internship and apply everything at the internship. So I think that's the biggest preparation. And also community, you find your community, right? So when you are on a doctorate, you find your peers that you share the experience, the burden, and things like that. So those are the main things that I learned.
Right. Well, now that we've talked a little bit about what you do in your job, what made you want to come to the United States? And how did you end up with a career path here? How did you make that happen?
Oh, that's a long story, but I will try to make it short. So I am married to another international person too. So we knew since the beginning that we didn't want to stay in my country. So we were wondering where we would go. So the easiest way was throughout work, so his work. So he got an opportunity to come to the US. That's why we came. And then I thought that I could have the continuity of my work here as a psychologist, because in Brazil, as a master degree, you can work independently, right? But then you arrive here and you discover that so many things are different. But that's basically it. We came here with thinking about the good things that we could have. United States was one of the countries that came to us.
Right. How difficult was the process of immigrating, and did you face any challenges along the way?
So because we came from a very stable proposal, a work proposal, right? In terms of paperwork, was not difficult, the immigration itself, right? However, emotionally, in terms of practical stuff, was very different. So when we arrived here, I discovered that I couldn't really work right away, as I had to continue my studies. I was already studying there, but I didn't know how difficult it would be. And emotionally, when you leave your country, you leave people that you love, you leave your community, you leave the support that you have. So you have to build all over here in this other place, your community, learning, and things like that. And on top of it, you have the language barrier. So you find many barriers. For me, was less difficult because two of them were like kind of lifted, which is the language and the work opportunity for my partner. It gave me peace to continue my studies and working here.
Right. Was there anything that surprised you, or were there anything that was easy that maybe you thought was going to be harder and actually turned out to be easy?
Wow. I thought that would be harder having clients in the private practice, but it turns out it's not, because that's one of the beauty of working here. I see this movement of being more open to mental health here in the US. So with that, makes it easier for you to have clients in your practice. Obviously, there is the downside, which means that people are more in more suffering than it maybe before. But the fact that mental health, emotional health is being integrated as general health gives to us psychologists a bigger way of doing our work somehow. So that's something that was kind of better than I thought would be.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to make an impact and to meet the needs of the populations around us.
Yes, for sure.
Indeed. So if somebody from outside of the United States was interested in getting a job like yours, where should they start? And what kind of advice would you give to somebody who was interested in pursuing a similar career path?
So the first thing I would say is don't do like I did. Don't come and think that you can do the work. That's my first thought. So look for APA site. They have loads of information on how to become a psychologist here in the US. It's because even if you have your doctorate in your own country, it might be that you arrive here and you have to validate, you have to translate, you have to do so many things, maybe additional coursework. So do your research on reliable sources like APA site, and before you come. Obviously you can come before, right? But if it is to work, do your research first. It's a better way to start off, I would say.
Yeah, APA's Office on International Affairs is one place specifically within APA that might have some additional resources, as well as looking at some of the state licensing boards within
Yes.
the state where people are practicing. Because like you said, they're all a little bit different, and there's a lot of intricacies here. So seeking out some expert guidance in these situations is very important.
Yes, I fully agree. I would say too, if you have someone that you know that is already working in this country, it might be helpful too, because then can be the emotional support. Like somebody having some challenges, somebody else who did that can help you like, no, it's worth, go on, keep looking, keep doing, you're going to get there.
Right. What do you enjoy the most about your job and working in the United States?
So about my job, I really like to see the growth of the people that we sit in front of. That's the main one. And I also like the community that we find. And it's something new for me because in private practice, you don't find so much of community because it's kind of a lonely job. But when you go to the counseling center, you find so many people that are doing the same, that love what they do. And then you find this community. So I would say these two things. And about being the US, one of the things, kind of what I said before, it's this movement of receiving mental health as a part of general health, overall health. It's increasing, it's being more accepted, people are more open to that. That's something that I really like to work here in the US.
Great. And as we wrap up today, what are your plans after you complete your doctorate and your PsyD?
Oh, I have so many plans, but basically I love teaching and I love private practice and counseling centers. So I would like to work around those things. A practice that sees multiculturality, that is open to all diversity that we have here in this country would be like my dream come true. But I know that's going to take a little bit, baby steps to get there.
Indeed. Well, I'm very excited to hear about how you pursue your career paths, and good luck wherever they take you. We are all out of time for today. Obrigada. Thank you, Andrea, for
Thank you.
joining us today. You provided some really helpful insights for those in our audience who may be interested in pursuing career pathways and working in the United States. I really like how you highlighted some of the key skills like interpersonal skills, critical thinking, research, and foundations in psychology, ethics, and integration across different knowledge areas, exploring, doing your research, using those same research skills to explore what you would need to pursue pathways in the United States.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate the time with you.
Well, and to our audience, thanks so much for watching. Good luck wherever your career pathway takes you. Until next time, be well and have a great day.